Good afternoon, everyone. Futures Brizio here now just after 4 p.m. on Wednesday, July 31st. Hope everybody's had a great day. And just doing a quick market wrap video here. Just, I guess, be a follow-up to what I talked about this morning. So we're just going to run through all these again and just see where we ended up on the day and, what might be to come. So, as always, before we get started, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're just finding it for the first time. Appreciate that. And as always, again, any questions, comments, please drop them down below. And happy to answer anything that comes in. All right, so let's just jump into it. So we'll start out in gold here. So as I mentioned this morning, price that was coming up here, I was looking to see what will happen once it hits this kind of level. I mean, it looks like we certainly put in, a higher low here, and we certainly had a very impulsive move that started yesterday. We're now kind of approaching this zone up here, which I consider to be kind of a shift. Any kind of breach through here would be kind of a shift in trend on this time frame. This is the 4-hour chart. Obviously, this trend changed a long time ago on the shorter time frames, but again, we're looking at higher time frames here. So if I turn on the candlesticks briefly, you see we now are bumping up against this, which is what I was waiting to see happen. So going forward, either into the overnight session or tomorrow, I'd like to see what the reaction is off this level. I'm sure there will be one, but the question will be whether we just get a little bounce off of here, a little break lower to some point, and then have this thing shoot and pop right back through here, or whether we get an aggressive move back to the downside that takes out structure, say on a shorter time frame. If we break out of here, maybe take out some sort of structure level, this is the 1-hour chart, then maybe that's going to be indicative of a resumption of the downtrend. But it's been pretty aggressive up, and so we'll see what happens. If we do get a move to the upside, we break out of this area, then I would expect prices to easily run back up to these highs, which are the highs inside this larger range going on with gold. I expect to see prices kind of push back up easily back to that area. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously, for me, no trade on this right now, especially on this time frame, but I will be watching this level very closely over the next day or so and see if there's an opportunity for a long or a short, and we'll see how that goes. Soybeans, nothing really going on. We just kind of went sideways today, really didn't do anything. Again, this level down here, right here, this purple line kind of represents an area on the cash chart, and the soybeans cash chart, where there's a key level. So again, looking at the candlesticks, we're nowhere near there really right now. So I expect to see prices continue down to about this level. But if they break below here, which is like the 987 area, then I would expect, again, if you look at the cash chart, there's a significant drop below that. So I do think we'll continue to see some short-term weakness, at least to this level. So I'm still basically, looking at potentially shorting this market. But I really was not too thrilled about shorting it today. As it turns out, it didn't really do anything, because again, as I mentioned this morning, when this thing pulls back, the pullbacks are usually quite a bit longer than what we see, and I just hated to see to go and take a short here just to have this thing keep trending up. So I'd like to see a bigger pullback here, and then maybe a push back down to this level, and based on how this market usually does pull back, if we see something like this and then we roll over, then maybe a move back down towards these levels. But in the meantime, probably not going to be too interested. If it does break lower and we don't get a big pullback, that's fine. Then I'll see what happens once we get down again to this 987 level, which again is a key area on the soybean cash chart on the daily time frame. And I do expect to see some reaction off this level. But again, if we do break through there, then there's quite a bit more downside underneath there that will open up. So keep an eye on this one. So the ES and the NQ, we'll just handle these both together because they're pretty much the same. So we had the FOMC come out this afternoon, hold interest rates steady, so which is what the market was expecting. So we didn't really get a whole heck of a lot of reaction here. Again, we did break through on this 4-hour level right here, and we've maintained that all day, although not particularly strong. This came out of some good GDP numbers this morning. So if this area holds, which we're well above it now, then what I would love to see on, like, say, the 1-hour chart is, you know, maybe a nice little retracement, you know, maybe back towards this zone here, maybe even a little bit under it, and then, you know, look for a move at least back to this level, which is more of the 4-hour, the closest 4-hour liquidity zone. So that would be a nice trade back up to there. So that's pretty much the same setup with the ES. That's the NQ. The ES is pretty much exactly the same, so not going to beat a dead horse. Just if we keep these current levels below us here, then I'd love to just see some kind of corrective move and then a push back up, up to the next liquidity zone. So that's the ES and the NQ. And then I guess you can kind of say the same thing for copper. So copper, we've taken out this 4-hour level right here. Again, we turn on the candlesticks, we can see these levels. So this is maybe needs to come down a tiny bit. And you can see that we've taken this area out. Go down to the 1-hour chart now. We've taken this area out. So again, as I've already drawn in here, maybe a little pullback. And then, push back to the upside. And again, a good target would be up here at this next kind of supply liquidity area further back up on the 4-hour chart. So potential, again, trend shifts, at least in the short term, for copper, ES, NQ, and gold is already underway. We'll just have to see if it holds. And then finally for natural gas, didn't really do a lot today. I'm still holding on to this short position. But I do think, again, looking at the cash chart, that this has a little bit more downside. So I'm going to hold this position into the overnight here and see what happens tomorrow. But I think overall we're still in a bearish setup here on natural gas. And again, looking at the CFD chart for natural gas, there definitely appears to be more room to run down, maybe down to the, I don't know if I have a take profit on this. Yeah. Down to about the 1.8 area. I think that's where I have this marked. Yeah, around 1.8, 1.81, somewhere down there as a good target, which lines up with a level again on the cash CFD chart for natural gas. So I'll continue to hold this one for now, and we'll see what happens. But I do think that this pullback was sufficient based on how this normally pulls back. Yes, we've had some much bigger pullbacks, and if it turns out that this is going to go higher from here, no problem. As long as it holds like kind of this area, then I still keep my short bias on this market. So as long as we hold below this area. So so that's natural gas, and that pretty much wraps up the analysis. So overall, not a real big roaring day, although we did have some pretty significant moves on the ESNQ and copper, and we'll see if those are maintained, and if so, then again, my bias will shift more bullish on those, and maybe potentially start looking for some long setups if we get some price action that kind of suggests a holding of these levels now as support that were previously acting as resistance, and we can get a nice run up towards the next liquidity zone on these markets, particularly as they appear on the 4-hour chart. So all right, so I'll just leave it there, everybody. I hope that was helpful. Again, make sure you like the channel and subscribe to the channel and like the video. Questions or comments, leave them down below. And again, we'll leave it there. I'll be back tomorrow with any updates, and hope everybody has a great night, and we'll talk to you soon.